Hey puzzlers, this is Steve here with another video on how to play some logic puzzles. This one's on a lighthouse puzzle. How it works is you're going to try to find 10 ships that are hidden in the ocean, and each ship takes up one cell and may not be adjacent to any other ship, orthogonally or diagonally. The numbered clues are lighthouses, which indicate how many ships they see orthogonally in its row or column. Ships do not block one another, so you can see if, in a row, if there's one ship here and one ship behind it, the ship in front of it does not block the view for the lighthouse. And then lastly, no ship is going to be adjacent to any lighthouse, orthogonally or diagonally. So what I like about this puzzle is it's got a theme to it. It's very similar to an Akari or light up puzzle. So if you like those, I think you're going to like this one as well. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is try to solve this puzzle for you guys and share some common tips or tricks, and hopefully make it easier for you to solve them yourselves in the future. And I apologize if you hear the gardeners in the background, but hopefully they're not too noisy for you guys. So first thing that I typically do is I'm going to surround all the lighthouses and ships immediately with water. Now, they've kindly given us one water clue already, so we can go ahead and color that in with blue. I'm going to use blue as water just to make it easier. So again, surrounding all the lighthouses with water, because a ship cannot be adjacent to a lighthouse. So bear with me here while I highlight all the cells. So when I first started these puzzles, I thought they were going to be super easy because you can see immediately right off the bat, I've already eliminated a ton of cells of where ships can't be. But somehow the writers have still found a way to make it somewhat tricky. But from there, what I typically do is, I know that a ship can only belong to one of two cells because they can't be adjacent to one another. So when we look at these big clues, a lot of the times it could be forced, right? Because we could look at this 3, for instance. You could only have one ship here and one ship here, so that's at most 2 ships, even though it's 4 cells, and one down here and one there. So there's 4 possibilities for that 3, so we don't have enough information yet to solve that. So let's move on to the other 3s. I like to start with the big clues because usually they're the most constrained. So there's only 3 possibilities here for the 3 ships to be. So we know that all of those are forced. And then again, we can surround the ships with water, so we know all of those cells are going to be blue. And that solves this 3. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is make the 3 a gray, so that we know that this clue is already used up. So from here, we can look and see, where would I go from here? Well, those gardeners are definitely blocking my mental capacity here. So again, I apologize if you hear that noise in the background. I'm hoping my microphone can cut it out. So going back to the dominoes, because if a ship is forced to be in a domino area, like let's say there's a ship in one of these 2 spots, you could then color the 2 cells below it and above it as blue, knowing that that's forced to be water, because again, water surrounds ships. So let's see if that's helpful. If we look at this 2, there can't be any in that row. So there can be one here, a second one can be there, and a third one can be there. So that's not very helpful. Oh, this one's already been solved. So let's make that gray, and that means this cell here and that cell here can't contain a ship, because that would break this clue. So let's make those blue, and I think that's going to help. Or at least I hope that's going to help. Hopefully that's what I was missing. Oh, and these too. Again, apologies. I think those gardeners were definitely messing with me. Okay, so because this one is already solved, every other cell in that row or column is going to be water. And let's think about this. So this 2 here, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. This 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that does not help. Here we go. So this 2 here, it could either be these 2 cells, right? Or it could be this cell and one of these 3. So we know at a minimum there's going to be 1 here in this area. And in no matter what scenario, this cell here is always going to be water. Because if the ship's here, that's diagonal. The ship's here, that's diagonal. The ship's here, that's orthogonally adjacent to it. So that we can color in as water. Not sure how helpful that is. Let's refresh what my tips were. Maybe that'll help. So H 2x2 area, if you think about a 2x2 area, can only have 1 ship. So if we think about this area, there's going to be at most 2 ships, right? 1 in that 2x2 area, 1 in that 2x2 area. And same thing here, 1 in that 2x2 area, 1 in that 2x2 area. So if we have to have 10 ships total, let's think about a maximum here. We could have at most 1 in this region, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what that tells me is this has to be a ship, right? That is forced because again, there's only 10 ships, and if we count all the 2x2 areas that have open water or open areas, this is a forced ship here. So that I think is going to hopefully help. Let's see if that does or not. So now this 3, and we know there's going to have to be 1 here. So if we think about this here, if this were a ship, that would solve this lighthouse, which would then make these water, and then it would force lighthouses in this area, which would solve this clue, and then break this area. This would, so let's think about this chain reaction here, and this is why it's so important to understand the 2x2 area rule. It's a lot like Star Battle, if you guys have ever done that one. So if we put a ship here, that forces this 2 to be solved, so that's now water, these areas, and it forces a ship into these 2 dominoes, which solves that, making this water. And remember, we have to use every single open space that we have, so this cannot be a ship. So hopefully that made sense. The ship goes there. That solves this 3 now because we have 1, 2, 3 looking at this lighthouse. So we can gray that out. That makes this water. Let's see. This 3 now. No, this 2. Now, have we looked at that? I think we've already looked at that too. Okay, 1 has to be here. That forces this 1 to be solved, right? So a ship goes in one of these 2. That solves this 1, making this water here. There we go. So this 1 can only see a ship here and here. This is then forced because, again, remember, we had this 2x2 area. We need 1 ship in this 2x2 area. Since we know those bottom 2 are water, that is ship. These 2 here cannot be a ship since they're adjacent. That forces this 1 to be in it. This ship solved that 1, so we can make that gray. That is now water, since you cannot have more than 1 ship in that row, forcing that to be a ship. This 3 is now solved. Well, let's make it the same gray. This 2 is forcing this cell here to be a ship, right? Because you can't have a ship in that row. That column, we only have one space left. There it goes. These are the adjacent cells to the ship. Let's make that water. That solved this 2, right? We have 1, 2 ships looking at this one. That then is water, and voila, that's the 10th ship. So this 2 is solved, this 2 is solved, this 1 is solved, this 2 is solved. So we can color those in, and I believe that's 10 ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is a Lighthouse puzzle. Hopefully you guys liked it. Again, apologies for the gardeners in the background. But if you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.